Hi everyone, welcome back to My Service Dog and Me. Today we are going to be talking about the puppy raising formula, which is something that I really love to teach on because I know how easy it is to become overwhelmed when we have a new puppy in the house. And we're trying to work on house training and chewing and play biting and jumping and all of these different things. And this really gives us a structure to help prevent and solve a lot of those issues and make decisions about priorities in our service dog's training, because that's something that we see a lot with handlers of puppies. Is first of all overwhelmed because puppies are exhausting, and also questions about where to start and what to prioritize. So that is what we're going to be talking about today, is a 4-step formula that you can use to help give all of that stuff, life with your puppy, a framework to filter everything through. Now, before we get into it, I want to let you know that our puppy training ebook has been completely updated, and you can get that for free at the link below. It now has not only an introduction information, like all about the stuff we're covering today, it also has training plans in it, step-by-step training plans using this puppy training formula, as well as a journal of Leo's first 7 days when he first came home to me, how we handled the first night, how we handled traveling home, a sample schedule for people who are always asking us for schedules, stuff like that. And then, of course, there's also a resource list so that you can see videos of everything that's in that book. So that link is below, and I wanted to make sure that I have told you about it right away in case that's something you would be interested in. So let's get into the puppy raising formula. Step 1 is to prevent mistakes. And this is an extremely important step in the formula because when our puppies engage in an, in quotes, problem behavior, such as chewing on your shoes, going to the bathroom in the house, barking at visitors, whatever it is, when they engage in that behavior is then reinforced, okay? And that means that your puppy is actually earning reinforcement for doing something we don't want him to do in the first place. The more he practices that bad behavior, the more ingrained it becomes in his system, the more it's earned reinforcement, and the harder it is to change. So when we bring a new puppy into our house, the first thing we want to think about is preventing mistakes, because we have a baby puppy, the equivalent of a 2-year-old human. They aren't going to make good decisions. So in order to prevent mistakes, first we're going to puppy proof. So you want to get down on the puppy's level if possible, and you really want to puppy proof your house as much as you can. Think about using baby gates, picking up anything that will fit in your puppy's mouth, anything that he shouldn't be chewing on, as much as possible. Secondly, your puppy is always going to be on a leash, in a crate, or in an X pen if you are not actively supervising, okay? This is an important piece of this because when our puppies are little, they are so sneaky, okay? They can very quickly and very easily like scoot around a corner and go to the bathroom when we don't even notice, or find that one thing on the floor that we forgot about, or they start to chew on something like the sofa that you couldn't remove during your puppy training or your puppy proofing process. So we want to use management. We want to use this sort of short versus long-term confinement. And I'm going to do a separate video, I think, on using an X pen versus a crate because we get a lot of questions on that. But really, when I have a new puppy in my house, if I'm not 100% supervising that puppy, he is in a crate, in an X pen, or on a leash. And this way, he's not accidentally making those mistakes. So what I mean by 100% supervise is active supervision, okay? Active supervision means 110% of my attention is on the puppy. We're training. He's sleeping in my lap. We're playing with a toy. Or I'm just watching him with 110% of my attention as he explores my home. If I need to cook and watch the puppy, or watch TV and watch the puppy, or whatever it might be, the puppy is going to be in a crate, in an X pen, or on a leash. And that allows me to safely divide my attention between the puppy and what I'm doing, while still preventing mistakes, to both help our training while also keep our puppy safe. Now, part 2 is to reinforce the good stuff, okay? So I've already talked about how if your puppy is engaging in problematic behaviors, he's reinforcing himself. One of the really powerful ways for us to offset that is to reinforce the good stuff that we see our puppies do throughout the day. So if your puppy is laying down quietly, give him a treat. If your puppy is, ignoring the cat as the cat walked by, give him a treat. Coming when called, going to the bathroom outside. These are all things that we can reinforce our puppies for throughout the day. And one of the laws of learning tells us that anything that is reinforced is more likely to happen again in the future. So we want to prevent the mistakes so that those don't get reinforced, while also reinforcing the things we do want our puppies to do. So to do that, you're going to have food treats available all the time. With most puppies, you can get away with just using dog food for this. It doesn't have to be fancy treats, okay? You're going to notice all the good things your puppy does, and then you are going to reinforce anything you'd like your puppy to do again. That's it. Kathy Sadeo calls this her SMART times 50 protocol, where you see, mark, and reward training 50 times a day for your puppy doing good stuff. 50 is not as many as it sounds like. So actually, what I recommend for our handlers is that they either feed their puppy breakfast, or they do a training session, or they use a food dispensing toy, which we'll talk about here in a second. Lunch, I recommend that they just put in a treat pouch and carry around with them all day to reinforce their puppy for good stuff. And then dinner, again, you could feed the puppy, put it in a food toy, something like that. But 50 treats can just be dog food, and again, it's not as much as it sounds. So then we're on to part 3 here, and this is where we need to provide age-appropriate exercise, okay? A puppy who has extra energy is going to find an outlet for it, and it's probably not going to be one that we like, okay? A puppy who has too much energy is going to use that excess energy in chewing, in barking, in play biting, in jumping. It's going to happen. So if we can provide our puppy with age-appropriate exercise, he's going to be more apt to have success during crate training. And he's also just going to be more relaxed, okay? So for age-appropriate exercise, this really depends on your puppy's age and his breed. So this is something that if you have any questions about, you're going to want to speak to your vet, because they're going to be the experts in what is safe activity for your puppy given his breed and age. But physical exercise, my favorite here is play, okay? I like to play with my puppies. Very, very gentle tug of war, very, very gentle chasing of toys, fetch, puppy-appropriate play. This is something that we can certainly do a separate video on if you guys would like to see exactly how to teach your puppy to play. I love play because not only is it excellent physical exercise that can wear out a puppy in a few minutes, it also makes me, the handler, more interesting, and therefore easier for my puppy to pay attention to during training. And it becomes a relationship builder and a reinforcement procedure I can use later for training. So it's really, really efficient because we're doing a lot at once when we work on play. It's also the best way to combat play biting, which is one of the things that our puppy handbook has a training plan on, is play biting. But playing with toys is one of the best ways to teach a puppy not to play bite. So mental exercise is the other thing when we talk about age-appropriate exercise. This is stuff like food stuff toys, time to sniff and explore things, proper socialization and training, giving our puppy time to explore new environments, see novel stuff, and learn things. This all helps to work his brain, and physical exercise works the body, but mental exercise works his brain so that he's not getting bored, and learning stuff actually burns calories, and so it helps to make our puppies tired. So you want to think about physical and mental age-appropriate exercise. So those are the first 3 steps, and we've got one more. So we're going to prevent mistakes, we're going to reinforce good stuff throughout the day, and then we're going to provide age-appropriate exercise. Once we've got those 3 bases covered on any particular issue, whether that be house training, right? We're going to prevent mistakes by using a kennel, using a crate, reinforcing our puppy for going to the bathroom outside, and just providing age-appropriate exercise, right? Play biting. We're going to prevent mistakes. We're going to reinforce polite play on his own stuff, and we're going to provide plenty of age-appropriate exercise so that he's not using that excess energy to bite me, okay? But after that, then we get into foundational training and actively teaching our puppy the behaviors that he needs in order to be more successful. So I call this the right foundation training, because foundation training is definitely something that there are a lot of opinions about, and a lot of the opinions are, honestly, in my opinion, a little bit incomplete. But I have other videos on what foundation training should look like. So the first thing here is, what behaviors does your puppy need to know to live in your house? Okay, this needs to be the priority. What behaviors does your puppy need to know in order to live with you? In your living situation, with your health, in your environment, because that looks different for everybody. So for example, I live out in the country. My dogs are off leash a lot. When I bring a new puppy home, coming when called is a top priority for me. Like maybe my number one priority. But if you have a puppy that's going to be on a leash to go to the bathroom and he's not going to have a lot of that off leash time at the beginning of his life, then maybe polite walking is a much bigger deal for you. So if you have a cat in the house, maybe your puppy really needs to learn to lay on a dog bed so that we can combat chasing the cat. If you have children, maybe play biting is a really big deal for you and you want to really prioritize training play biting. You want to think about, what does your puppy need to know in order to live in your home with you? Secondly, and equally as important, is safety priorities for your life. So what does your puppy need to know as he gets bigger to keep you, the handler, safe? Because this is very, very individual for every single handler, right? I work with handlers who are physically not at risk if their 100-pound dogs were to pull on them. But I work with other handlers who even a small tug on their shoulder could be very, very detrimental to their physical health, or handlers who, if they get pushed over by a jumping adolescent, would be detrimental to their health. I've worked with handlers who are very sensitive skin-wise, and play biting is just really a safety hazard for them. Then those are the things that you need to prioritize, because if you can't live with your puppy, you aren't gonna have success with service dog training. You have to live with your dog before you can do the service dog training stuff. And so you want to think about, if you have a 10-pound Labrador Retriever puppy, what behaviors is he doing right now that will be a safety hazard for you as he gets bigger? Is it jumping? Is it play biting? Is it pulling on the leash? What are those things? And you want to really, really prioritize that, okay? Then we move into priorities for socialization. So if you've already, you figured out what behaviors your puppy needs to know to live in your house and what your safety priorities are, and you're ready to kind of get into the next level of training, then this is where we get into priorities for socialization. Now, we have some really great videos here on the channel about socialization and how to do it effectively, because unfortunately, bad socialization can really do a lot of harm, but proper socialization is absolutely required for service dog training. So socialization, before you even begin, because normally when your puppy comes home, and this is all in detail in our ebook, is that I highly recommend that you spend 3 days-ish really just at home. Like, don't take your puppy out anywhere. You don't need to go anywhere for socialization. You don't need to go anywhere for training. Just coming home to your house will have been enough new experiences for those first 3 days. So during those 3 days, you're focusing on priorities for your home and priorities for your safety, and then priorities for socialization, which include behaviors like polite walking, which is done on a harness. We will actually have a new video on how to teach polite walking coming out next week if you're watching this as this video is posted. Offering eye contact is an important default behavior before we start to take our puppy out, but this can be taught in like 1 or 2 training sessions. We have a video on that here on the channel as well. And emergency behavior, I like to use a treat magnet where I teach my puppy that when I put a treat right in front of his nose and then I move that treat around, that he should follow it, because this becomes a very quick way for me to get my puppy out of sticky situations. And I also really like to teach a hand target before I take my puppies out for socializing. Now, what I will say is that definitely, like I said, we're going to have a polite walking video coming out for you. Watch that, because it's not as in-depth as it sounds, especially if you have like a little puppy who's still pretty small and easy to control, physically control, I mean. But the other things there, the attention to handler, the hand target, like those are things that most people can do in like 1 or 2 training sessions with a puppy. It doesn't need to be perfect. You just want to have a few little skills on board before you take your puppy out for socialization. So we're going to be moving through those, or moving into those topics over the next few weeks here on the channel. If you're watching this past August of 2024, then you'll already be able to find those. If you're watching this during 2024, then they're probably still coming out. And check out our ebook, which is below. And if you have any questions, the best place to answer them or ask them is going to be in our free Facebook group, Train Your Service Dog with Confidence. So I hope that you found this helpful, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.